Hello everyone, welcome to this week's video from the Purple Penny. My name's Mark. I own and run the Purple Penny along with my wife Catherine. We do these videos at about this time most Mondays. We tend to cover off on what's been going on in the news and try to have a topic of the week. Last week we had a bit of a show and tell on what we bought in the shop in the last few weeks. If you're watching this, you can go and see all of our videos on YouTube, and if you duck over there, you can see last week's episode over there. What is the Purple Penny? Well, the Purple Penny is a coin and banknote dealer. We deal in coins and banknotes, funnily enough. Most of what we deal in, we buy in over the counter here. We have a counter where people can come and show us their collections, and we look through it and see all sorts of interesting things and pay for those, and then hopefully they end up on our website or for sale here in the shop. So that's what we do. Now, what's been going on in the last week? Well, no prizes for guessing what the first two things are, because I've talked about the first two things the last few weeks, of course. The Adelaide Coin and Banknote Expo is getting very close. October 5th and 6th, Saturday and Sunday. Gold coin entry, donation to get in. If you want to park in the parade grounds, $10 cash only parking. It's open 10 to 5 on Saturday and 10 to 4 on Sunday. The Royal Australian Mint will be there doing a coin swap. There'll be 30 plus dealers. So if you are in Adelaide or coming to Adelaide, please do get along to the expo. Catherine and I will be in our usual place by the entrance on the right hand side of the building there. If you see the picture of the building, there's two doors, one on the left, one on the right. The good door is on the right because we're there. The coin swap door is on the left where the mint will be. Now, of course, last week was the release of Bluey coins. Now, what made it a little bit different is that it was a joint release between the Royal Australian Mint and the Australia Post. So I believe that means that it was a release that was commissioned by Australia Post, and it meant that authorised dealers like us did not get offered the coins from the Royal Australian Mint. We got offered them from Australia Post. We do sometimes get offered a few things from Australia Post. We were offered the coins and tubes, and we were offered the Privy Mark coins on cards. We were not offered the proof ones at all. We did not receive an allocation of the Privy Mark coins on cards, and we received a small allocation of the coins and tubes. The Royal Australian Mint, I believe the way it works, when someone commissions a minting, gets a percentage of the mint, of the mintage of each item. So they had the coins and tubes, the Privy Mark coins on cards, and the two proof coins available, I believe, through their phone line and certainly through their ballot system. Now, I think because it wasn't a authorised dealer release, we got very little contact from the public looking for these things. We did do a radio interview on Monday, I think it was, or Tuesday, I can't remember, with ABC local radio here, just about the Bluey release and how people get hold of them. Now, of course, the easiest way to get hold of them now is the Bluey, and I can't remember the other coin, I've forgotten, but hey, I only just found out Bluey was a girl last weekend, so what do I know? There's $2 coins you can get through the tills at Australia Post. They're the easiest ones to get. I believe the odd place still has the coins and tubes. Now, I have been told through back channels that there will be no more Bluey coins available at all through Australia Post. So even if you have a name down for more, or your post office has put in orders for them, we have been told that there are no more. So that's it. Of course, the hot one is the silver proof, and then the aluminium bronze proof is the next most desirable one. We heard all the usual complaints for people about profiteering and not enough being minted and things like that. My only comments about that are that I'm sorry that people didn't get them and they're genuinely interested in them. But it is a fine balance for coin issuing authorities. If they make too many, then we have people complaining that they're making too many and the values all go down. If they don't make enough, we have people complaining that there aren't enough to go around and that profiteers are getting hold of them. There's no doubt that profiteers did get hold of them, but they didn't get them through the Mint, and they didn't get them through Royal Australian Mint distributors. They got them off of post offices. So, and that is always going to happen. And I guess as a hobby, we should be, reasonably grateful that happens, because it means that there's interest in the hobby still. So, but I am sorry for people who didn't get them, who needed them for their collection. That's it about Bluey. I will make no more comments about that until the very next slide, and then after that I promise not to make any more comments about Bluey. Right, hello Patrick, Samantha, Nathan, Peter, Bevan, Brett, Ted, Adam, hello Catherine, John, Ray, Michelle, Coinstruck, whose name I've forgotten, Patrick, and Angela, okay, and Carolyn and Rhodus. Right. Peter says he's seen jumbo bags of the non-coloured Bluey on Facebook. Right, that leads me to the next item in the news. We had someone come in last week, Van, excuse the noise, Van, who was one of our regular customers, and she got her hands on 2 bags of the non-coloured Bluey coins, and I don't know where she got them from, but she has very generously given those to us. There's one bag there. She's very generously given those to us and has said that she would like to have them auctioned and that all the proceeds be given to See Differently, who were the Royal Society for the Blind. That's the organisation that we help raise assistance dogs for. So thank you to Van. So there will be a bag each of the uncoloured Bluey coins available on our Facebook page as of Wednesday, and they'll be available at auction, and please bid high and often on that, because all the proceeds will go to See Differently, who are the Royal Society for the Blind. Catherine and I will cover the postage cost on those. So thank you to Van, who is one of our very good customers, for that generous donation of the 2 bags of uncoloured Bluey coins that will be auctioned for charity over the next few days. Right, next item on the news. I promised I wasn't going to talk about Bluey, but I just did, and I'm about to do it again. Of course, the roll and tube sets, 1 in 10 of them included a coloured coin. And we had a few people open up their tubes here at the counter last week when they bought them, and one of them, who is actually watching now, had a coloured coin, and he very graciously allowed me to take a photo of it, and you can see that at the bottom there. But one entrepreneurial individual has done a bit of coin art and has painted the non-coloured Bluey coins and has popped them up on eBay, where they have been happily auctioning for $200 or more, with perhaps people not understanding that it is not the coloured Bluey coin that comes out of the tube. I don't know if it's deceptive. I guess it probably is. I personally think the person's done a pretty good job of painting them. Catherine says it looks like rubbish, but I don't know, it looks alright to me. You can see the 2 fakes up the top there. Thank you to Catherine for doing the image work on this post for me. So you can see the 2 painted ones on the top there and the non-painted one at the bottom. Now the key thing to look for is that on the non-painted one, which you can see at the bottom, Bluey and her balloon are not raised features on the coin. They are just printing that is applied directly to the surface of the coin. The painted ones up the top there, the colour has been applied to the Bluey, the in-relief Bluey and balloon on the coins. So they are obviously hand done, and like I said, they seem to be quite well done to me. I certainly couldn't do as well. But they are not the coloured coins that come out of the roll, so please do not bid them up to those same sorts of prices. Please do not do that. Jason says, isn't it illegal to deface currency? I don't know if it's illegal to deface it non-permanently, because this isn't permanently defaced. Obviously you can just remove the paint fairly easily. Hello Vanessa, Shane, Jason, Andrew, Who else is here that I haven't said? Peter, hello, how are you? Deanne, how are you? Hello, Charles. Right, hello, David. Gosh, we've got a big audience today. Thank you, everyone, for joining in today. Right, that's it. No more Bluey. I will not talk about it again. Next item in the news. This is going to be an absolute pain in the butt for US coin dealers, because coming up in auction in America shortly is a seemingly innocuous 1975 dime, which is a proof. What's a 1975 proof dime actually worth? Well, normally it is literally worth $2 or $3, probably not even that much. But what makes this one different is it has no mint mark on it. All US proofs are struck in the San Francisco branch mint, and they have an S on them, which indicates that they were struck in San Francisco. It turns out that two, let me just say that again, 2 dimes in proof sets were struck in 1975 that have a missing mint mark. Now, I don't know how that could happen, but it did. So 2 of these are known. One of them sold in 2019 for $460,000 US. This one, which is graded by PCGS as PR67 because it is a proof, is expected to sell for $500,000 US dollars or more. So that's 750,000 Australian dollars or more. What is going to be painful about US coin dealers for this one is that all coins struck in Philadelphia, which is another branch of the US Mint, do not have a mint mark on them. But of course, in 1975, Philadelphia only struck uncirculated coins. They did not strike proof coins. So what is an uncirculated 1975 dime worth? It's worth 10 cents in America, and no more than that. Whereas this proof one, it's not uncirculated, it's proof without a mint mark on it, is worth $500,000 US dollars or more. So quite a remarkable find. Is it worth that much? Well, it doesn't excite me a whole lot. I'd rather have 30 or 40 Roman gold coins than this particular thing. But the American market is very large, and there's collectors for everything. Now, if you're wondering, the people who bought this bought it in 1978 for $18,200, and it's expected to sell for $500,000 or more. So not a bad investment there by them. Now, thank you to someone who forwarded this information to me. This is information that's lifted off of the Australian, off of the ASIC website. So we can see there up the top the information of a reasonably well-known auction house in New South Wales. And at the bottom there we can see the recent records that have been added to their ASIC record, and we can actually see that since the end of May to date, they've actually been operating under a receiver, or external administration. And from what I understand, that means that an external company has been appointed to manage the financial affairs of that particular auction company. And perhaps on the website of ASIC, it says that that management company could be trying to trade that particular auction house out of the situation they're in. It could be disposing of their assets to pay their creditors, or it could be organising the business for sale. So, you know, what does that mean? It means that one of the biggest auction houses in Australia, if not the biggest auction house in Australia, is something's going on there. We don't know what. And we can only hope that the receiver that has been appointed to them can get them through what is obviously a difficult time, because it would be very disappointing if a business like this was to disappear from the numismatic landscape in Australia. Interesting story here about archaeologists that have been excavating a village in Bulgaria. I believe it's in northeastern Bulgaria. They've been excavating there since 2019, and they are in the process of digging up a medieval dwelling that they believe was abandoned in about 950 AD. So this village is still a current village, but they've found medieval and ancient ruins there. And this particular house, they've been excavating it, and they found 5 gold coins of Justinian the Great, who was an emperor of the Eastern Roman Empire. He's called Justinian the Great because he wrote a code of laws, which was is one of those things that is generally accepted as the forerunner of the current Western legal systems. And so these coins were from 400 or 500 years before the house itself was abandoned due to a fire. And you can see 2 of the coins at the bottom there are fused together. And due to the fire, whereas the 3 up the top there are not. So these are what are known as tremisses, which are a third of a solidus being a standard sized Roman gold coin. And a solidus at that time comprised 4.5 grams of almost pure gold. Now what's interesting about the solidus is that it effectively traded unchanged from about 400 AD to 1100 AD. So that's 700 years where the solidus was basically the same fineness and the same weight and the accepted currency across most of Western and Eastern Europe. So this was, I guess, the US dollar of its day, the solidus. It was accepted for a very long time. And if you're wondering where 4.5 grams comes from, it's because 4.5 grams happens to be 1/72nd of a Roman pound, a pound being a unit of measure. And if you're wondering how they came up to that weight, it's because it was what's known as 24 Greco-Roman carats. And a Greco-Roman carat isn't related to the fineness of the gold, it's actually related to the weight. And 1 Greco-Roman carat was 183 milligrams, so 24 times by that gives you 4.5 grams. And if you're wondering about Greco-Roman carats, yes, that's where the carat system that is applied to both gold and gems originates from. So 24 carats being pure gold these days and 1 carat being a unit of weight for gems. The auction house, I'll probably, if you just look at the slides a bit later, John, on a bigger screen, you'll be able to see who that is. Now, another find from the last few weeks was a group of archaeologists on the Sicilian island of, sorry, I'm going to have to make this bigger, on the Sicilian island of Pantelleria. Pantelleria is an island that is about halfway between Sicily and Tunisia, and Tunisia being a country in the north of Africa, and Sicily being the large island at the lower left of Italy. So it is a Sicilian territory. Now, what they found recently in the Acropolis of Santa Maria and San Marco, which is an ancient set of ruins on that particular island. The actual ruins date back to the Punic Wars, which are the wars between the Romans and the Carthaginians in the 3rd century BC. They found 27 Roman Republican coins, some of them which were still in the hole in a cave wall, and others which had washed out of the hole and were in the rubble underneath it. Believed to have been put there probably during a pirate attack, because pirates were a huge problem at about the time that these coins date from. They all date from about 94 BC to 74 BC. And you can see a picture of one of the coins there at the top left, and it's virtually in mint state. So it's got a serrated edge, as you can see. It's called a serratos, that particular type of coin. It is a denarius, but it's a serratos denarius. A denarius being a unit of Roman coinage, and we'll be talking more about denariuses a bit later. So I believe that's it for the news today. Yes, that's it for the news today. Right, so what I thought I'd do today, just for a bit of a topic of the day, is talk about what link there is between this, which is a boring old dollar coin, what link there is between that and this, which is a denarius, a Roman denarius, which is maybe about 1800 years old. So what link is there between this, the dollar coin that we we have every day, that we see every day, and this denarius that I've got in my hands. And if you're wondering how you can make a link between those two, it's actually surprisingly simple. So, for example, it's not difficult to make a link between this dollar coin and this dollar note. Okay, when these were phased out in 1984, these came into play. So it's not hard to make that link between that and that. What is a little bit more difficult is to make a connection between this, which is a Australian 10 shilling note, an Australian 10 shilling note, and these were phased out in 1966. So this one happens to be printed from 1961 to 1966. It's got Matthew Flinders on there, so 10 shillings. It's not hard to make a connection between that and this. And you know, if you're wondering how to make the connection, if you look at the two, they've got the same colouring. And that's because when we transitioned from pre-decimal currency to decimal currency, of course, we wanted the public to know what the new currency, how it related to the old one. So when we transitioned, 10 shillings, this one with the brown and orange coloration, became a dollar, which had the same coloration. So that's how you make the link between those two. Similarly, if you make a link between a £1 note, okay, again phased out in 1966, and a $2 note phased in 1966, look, you notice the coloration there, green and green. That's because £1 became $2. Similarly, in 1988, this was phased out and this came in. So it's easy to take a link back. But how do you make a link between one of those and an 1800-year-old Roman denarius? How do you make that link? So how do you do that? Well, it all goes back to a lovely fellow known as, and you've probably heard of this person before, Charlemagne. Charlemagne is a Western European king, and he reigned in, let me just look at my cheat notes here because I've forgotten. He reigned in, what's going on here? No, that's not what I want. That's what I want. He reigned from, I think, about in the 8th century. Okay, so Charlemagne reigned in the 8th century. And believe it or not, as we've already talked about, Roman coins or Roman denominations were still heavily traded in Europe, even in the 8th century. The Western Empire had fallen in 400s, but of course the Eastern Empire was still going strong. And at about the time of Charlemagne, it was almost at its biggest extent, the Eastern Roman Empire. So Roman denominations were still commonplace. Now, not only Roman denominations, but Roman weights. Now, the trouble with adopting the Roman system is that the Roman system kept changing, and that was because the Roman Empire was going down the toilet, and in sort of the 200s and 300s, the Roman monetary system was changed many times, and that was because they needed to do everything they could do to keep the economy running, and the emperors wanted to, I guess, screw the population out of as much money as they could, so they would do what's calling debasing the coinage to try and bring silver or gold into the government. And as a consequence, people lost confidence in the money, and from time to time different emperors had to jig the coinage system. Now, how did the coinage system work? So this is a denarius, for example. So at different times during the Roman Empire, the denarius could be basically pure silver. It could be 2.8 grams. I believe sometimes it was taken down to just over a gram, and just over a gram and just 3% silver. But the government still wanted you to spend these coins. But of course, when a coin has much less silver and much less weight than you'd expect, people lose confidence in it. The old good silver like this would disappear and be replaced by the rubbish ones. So the trouble with adopting a Roman system in the Middle Ages at about 7 or 800 AD is there was no generally accepted Roman system. So Charlemagne took it upon himself to be the king, as the king, because we all know that it is good to be the king, to come up with a system which is now known as the Carolingian monetary system. Charlemagne, Charles the Great in Roman terms, Charles is Carolus, Carolingian. That's where it comes from. So he basically standardised the weight system, so pounds, for example, and he also standardised the currency system. So he introduced this in about 800 AD, and he basically defined a pound as almost what it is today, as a pound being a measure of weight, as 408 grams. Compare that to a Roman pound, which was just 326 grams. So he defined what a pound was, and he said that a pound was comprised of 20 shillings. Okay, so a pound was comprised of 20 shillings. If you're wondering what 20 shillings looks like in Australian pre-decimal times, it looks like that. That's 10 florins. Each florin is 2 shillings. And if you just want to make a link between florins and our money today, a florin is exactly the same size and weight as a 20-cent piece. Okay, that's no coincidence. That's because the government wanted people to understand what the money was. So Charlemagne said that a pound was 408 grams, and a pound had 20 shillings in it, a shilling being half of a florin. He also went on to say that a shilling is worth 12 denarii. So they still stuck with the names of that the Romans were using, a denarii. So basically what he's saying here is that there are 240 denarii to the pound, which is exactly the same ratio as we've got pennies to the pound. So this is a penny, it's an Australian penny, 240 of those to the pound. This is a Carolingian penny, so this is a silver penny. This one's a bit later, I think it's about 1000 AD. So this is a silver penny. At some point, silver pennies became brass pennies, but it doesn't change the fact that there were 240 of these tiny little silver pennies to the pound, and there were 240 of these bronze pennies to our pound. Denarii starts with D. If you're wondering what an abbreviation for a penny is, it's D. So that's where the D for penny comes from. If you're wondering where the LB for pound comes from, it comes from the Latin of libra, which is Latin for pound. So Charlemagne said that there are 240 shillings to the pound, and that coinage system is what was adopted across most of Western Europe. So if you are looking at Dutch coins and German coins and French coins of this particular era, and you're wondering how they ended up with 12 equal to 1 and then 20 of those equal to another, it's because of this Carolingian monetary system, and it's why one of those has ended up, where's my dollar coin gone, has ended up with that. That's how we inherited this system. So what is the exchange rate between that and that? If we remember, a dollar is half a pound. That's 120 pennies. So 120 of these makes up one of those. And that's how our dollar is related to a medieval German king, which I thought was a really fascinating bit of information. Sorry if I've lost anyone there, but a bit of basic coin stuff there for people to understand the history behind it. Right, I think that'll do for today. I will just say there won't be a video next week. We've got some real life things that need to get done, so there'll be no video next week, but we'll be back the week after. So I do apologise for that. Patrick is saying, when you buy a tube of coins, do you lose value if you open the tube? If you open the tube and there's a coloured coin in there, no, you're increasing the value. But if you open the tube and there's no coloured coin in there, then you are decreasing the value. So what does that mean? It means that if you leave the tube closed, I believe that it will be worth more than an open tube with an uncoloured coin in it. It's Schrodinger's tube. I don't know if people know what Schrodinger's paradox is, but it's an unopened tube has both an uncoloured coin and a coloured coin in it, so the price is a bit higher than a coin tube that has been opened and has an uncoloured coin in it. So if you're wondering what Schrodinger's paradox is, go and read about that. And I'm going to copyright that phrase. It's Schrodinger's tube, so no one else is allowed to use that. Right, that's Peter. You have to pay me royalties now because I said it before you typed it. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for your attention today. Thank you for soldiering on through that history lesson there, which I enjoyed giving. Have a great week. Happy collecting. I believe there's a bullion release coming up from the Royal Australian Mint. I saw that on Friday. We don't get bullion releases from the Mint, so if you jump onto their website, there might be some information there about it, but we don't have those aren't made available to us. That's it. Bye for now, everyone. Have a great week. Stay safe, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.